Evolution by invitation. What do I mean by that? I mean that Darwin's time is over. It was over actually quite a long time ago. If you look around yourself, you'll see the evidence is overwhelming. The crawling universe has just acquired propulsion with us, with conscious selection, where we don't have to wait for mutations anymore. We can take big chunks of DNA fragments and combine them symbiotically, or use them and abuse them and do whatever we want. So basically this is a completely different era. It's as important or as significant as all of the previous eras, when first, for example, fusion, and then the manifestation of DNA from inert fragments, and then after that cell formation and segmentation and so on and so forth. But the conscious universe, where we are now, we have eyes now. So the watchmaker has eyes, and he can take parts and put them together to make the watch. It is obvious. Whether he chooses to make a watch or whether he chooses to amuse himself, that's a different matter, but he has the ability. That's why things have become so accelerated, and there are so much, everything is subject to so much change in such a short amount of time. So natural selection is irrelevant to the future as long as we are here. What do I mean by natural selection? If you've seen the previous videos, selections that are made by gravity, which are things that are outside of DNA, and DNA tragedy, where segments of DNA or fragments of DNA put pressure on each other, selective pressure on each other. And this is, of course, the blind watchmaker banging parts together to come up with a part. But this one, gravitational selection, is entirely destructive, which basically gravity is the enemy of life. It wants to kill it. It wants to reduce everything, because life has got too much energy. It's a scaffold of energy, and gravity it basically is the exact opposite. So the universe is now conscious. It is self-aware. For us to believe that we're just a thing, one event amongst many on planet Earth, and the universe or the planet itself and all the animals and everything else are just different things, I think it is wrong. The evidence would suggest that we are the universe. What else could we be? We're very much a part. We're certainly planet Earth, and planet Earth has just become self-aware, because the whole planet is nothing but a giant molecule. It's all interconnected, and the butterfly wing in one place affects everything else everywhere else. So the evidence suggests that we are the conscious component of the universe, and it's in charge of its own future. This is what I mean by evolution by invitation. So we can either go this way by chasing gravity and killing ourselves, or we might climb up the ladder of further evolution. What that might be, I have absolutely no idea. That will be something that we will choose. So why? Genetic mutations are far too slow to catch up to conscious selection and their aftermath. You'll see in a minute what I mean. Mutations just take far too long. It takes hundreds, if not thousands, possibly even tens or thousands or hundreds of thousands of years for it to have an effect. But we can make selections that affect both the environment, other animals, in seconds, in days. And so mutations can't catch up to us. If you look at all of the animals that have lost their habitat, that have disappeared, that have become extinct as a result of our choices that we've made, you'll see exactly what I mean. They couldn't adapt to what we're doing fast enough. As humans, we're almost immune to DNA, to our own DNA and its mutations. They mean nothing to us because we have cured diseases, or we're doing a lot more, every day we're coming up with new solutions to our genetic problems, and we can do an enormous amount to basically accelerate us. I mean, you've seen the previous video where I said humanity, and if you see what humanity has done, the things that we can do by purely thoughts and conscious selection is infinitely greater than our genetic shortfalls, which is what we started off to try to correct those shortfalls, but we have accelerated them. We are more and more immune to mutations. It is not, for example, to make this simple for you to see what I mean, the future of humanity will not be dictated by our genetic mutations. If you think that we're going to sit there and we are going to mutate, and ultimately a child will be born who will have a capacity as soon as it is born to program a computer, then you're wasting your time. Of course it's not going to happen. It will never happen. That's not going to happen. If it's not going to happen, then look at how accelerated the future evolution of humanity is, and so mutations mean nothing. We're going to have to come up with something else to sort of catch up with this, and we are anyway, because I mean people, we've got artificial arms and legs and eyes and all sorts of things, and all of these mean that we are now immune to the natural DNA in our cells and its mutations. Humans have made nature synthetic. When people go on about how wonderful nature is and that we should do this and do that and the other, you realize that they're really talking about something they haven't really thought an enormous about, because there is no more nature. Nature stopped existing a very long time ago. We have done everything that we wanted to suit us. We have manufactured a new norm that we call nature, that is entirely made by us. I mean, look, if you look at the roads, if you look at the dams, what we're doing to water flow, if you look at the land that we're grabbing off nature and for agriculture and so on, building cities, cutting pockets of animal life, if you like, in different places. We call them nature reserves or national parks and all that. They're nothing but little zoos in a back garden somewhere. Natural selection means nothing in the context of those events, because in order for nature to be nature, you will have to get rid of humanity. So that's not nature. Nature stopped being relevant a long time ago. So all of the DNA fragments are now subject to conscious selection. Every other animal, every other plant, everything else is now going to be affected by us and by our choices. You should already have seen this. There are no exceptions. There are animals, of course, that can adapt faster than everybody else. You know, the city fox, the rats, some bats, etc. But most of them will die. It's inevitable, no matter what we do. Keeping them alive by having them artificially inseminated and raised in little zoos is, in fact, to be honest, that's not natural selection. That's nonsense. It's a game. So anyway, their genetic mutations mean nothing. This is what I was trying to get at. For us and for every other animal or plant in the world, the DNA, the genetic mutation within DNA, means absolutely nothing from now on. That is too slow and it's irrelevant. Take a look. If we have to come up with these things here, that we are save the panda, save the bird, save the whale, save the cheetah. I mean, look at these people. How is that nature? How is this natural? He's lying on top of a car. He's in a zoo. His life is over. He can't run wherever he wants to. He can't mix his genes with anything else that he wants to. This guy is feeding this thing because, it can't survive on its own. He's feeding the elephants because the poachers are killing it and there are no more elephants left. Save the tiger because we've destroyed his habitat or turned them into rugs to decorate our homes. So my point is that nature in itself is gone. There is no more nature, and it's us. The point is we have to realize who we are. That's the point I'm trying to make, both in terms of our ability, both in terms of our potential, and both in terms of our responsibility to DNA itself, because DNA doesn't really care. It just wants to pass on the gene. It wants to be immortal. That's the whole point. But not everything is going to take the path to immortality and succeed. The great majority of all of its branches will fail. That's what is done throughout evolution so far. So now that we have got eyes, now that DNA has eyes, what are we going to do with it? Are we just going to sit there watching reality programs with these eyes, or are we going to actually do something with them? What we have done to natural selection is basically that, really. There is no more natural selection. It's gone. It's all conscious selection. The future is conscious selection. The future of evolution, wherever it may go, is by invitation only. The only things that will be in the future is because we decide. they're going to be in the future. And I don't mean by saving a few tigers here and there and saving some, I don't know, some birds here and there. They are completely irrelevant. If we do so, we do so for our own amusement and possibly to alleviate some guilt. But really, in real terms, they're meaningless. So we are the masters of the universe, and look at what we can do. I mean, if you look at these things, they're kind of, in a way, they look like abominations, but they show you the potential of what we can do. We can change everything. If you have the power to change it, it doesn't necessarily mean that you must change it for the worst. Although, because don't forget, there are two things that you should remember if you've seen from the previous videos. We have two problems. We are both psychopaths, which means that we care only about ourselves. That is part of evolution, because every single animal is that way. And we're also addicts to maximizing pleasure, minimizing pain and suffering. So when you put that with acceleration, it necessarily follows that we will be predominantly destructive rather than constructive. But if we are talking about it, then there must be some hope. If we are realizing our potential of who we really are, not some squatters, not an animal that's just gone bananas on planet Earth, but look at who we are. This is a map, by the way, of the various national parks in South Africa. I just put it there for you to have a look at it. I mean, what does that mean? They're little back gardens with a few animals here and there. That's not natural selection. This is not nature glowing mice or agriculture that we have changed. So nature, as far as we're concerned, is gone. The future is up to us, is my point. So if by invitation only, then we really need to know ourselves, and we should know our responsibilities and the power that we have. This is my problem. Why don't we teach this to our children rather than telling them to win, to hoard, to compete with everybody else? When in fact we're not here because of being cancerous and individualist, but because every layer of onion within our existence is one of symbiosis of cells, symbiosis of organelles, symbiosis of organs, etc., etc. So it's just possible, but I don't really think so. If you really want my opinion, I don't think we're going to make it, because acceleration accelerates both, and we become more destructive. Instead of climbing up the future ladder of evolution, whatever that might be, we're going to be too busy chasing maximization of pleasure, just basically exercising our power because we have it. So torment all the people or all the other things that don't have power, so that we can feel good about ourselves, or just running around hoarding everything because for some reason we seem to think that we better grab it before someone else grabs it, I suppose. Or now, which is the new thing of just chasing likes and chasing being popular, an addiction to being noticed, and so generally wasting who we really are because we don't know who we are. We haven't understood our responsibility by just chasing triviality in our lives. My point here is that we already own everything. This entire universe is now ours, because who else is going to have it? We can do whatever we like here. We're not some tiny greedy little man trying to find some gold and then hoard it in a bank account. It already belongs to us. Everything in this universe is ours. The planet Earth is ours. Why are we trying to shove it in our pockets rather than finding an alternative means of living with it? Now we're no longer subject to being ridden by our genes. We have got the other way. If you remember in a previous picture video I showed you that we were this donkey and our genes were riding us because we were being dictated to by our gene. But now it's the complete opposite, where we are now in charge, and this is the universe. So the future of the universe will be what we decided that it is. So I'm not using this video as clickbait to flatter you or some kind of sycophantic thing. I don't really like you. When I say you, I don't mean you as a person. I don't like me. I don't like humanity, because I believe it's the phlegm of evolution. You've seen the previous video, hopefully. There's something seriously wrong with us, and I'm not sure it can be cured, because we are in the halfway stage where we are intelligent, but we are intelligent addicts and psychopaths. Now that's a really bad combination, because all you're going to do is you're just going to destroy yourself faster, and the evidence would suggest that that is precisely what we're doing. So But if there is any hope, these two people saw the real potential in humanity. Nietzsche saw it as saying, know yourself and understand yourself and then do whatever you like. He didn't say just be blind and be an animal. He actually says first know yourself as to who you are. If humanity knew, like I've just described in this, and hopefully if you agree with it, then if we knew ourselves, and then we would understand that it's up to us, and then we would do whatever we like. And there's a very high probability that at that point it might be the right stuff, instead of at this stage just chasing gratification and the minimization in pain and suffering, because he doesn't care about pain and suffering. For him, pain and suffering or tragedy is a very important part of rejuvenation and a very important part of getting to a higher form of existence. He, on the other hand, which is, like I said to you, eventually you'll see these two come exactly to the same point. He is telling us, you are not just an accelerated pig. You are something very special. As humanity, we're not just accelerated animals. Anexitestos bios ubiotos anthropo means the unexamined life is not the life of a human being. So if we understand ourselves, that's his point. If we examine our beliefs, we can see who we really are, and then we can decide whatever we believe to be right, which is the best we can do. Anyway, if you need a better, complete and systematic explanation of the points raised here, get this book, please, Bionomy Series 2. It's completely free as a Kindle ebook. I don't want anything from you. And you've probably seen this blah blah, unexamined life is not a human life, unchallenged establishment are just cults. The education systems are, in my opinion, entirely malignant. They do nothing to prepare us as humans. They just basically accelerate us as animals so that we can compete with one another, hoard as much as we can, and they call that ambition. Anyway, you might disagree, but there it is. Thanks.